recording. I wanted to talk about this morning. There was a topic of friendship, and there's a topic of, this, rebuking your brother, your sister, and how to do that kind of in a biblical way. And then there was this kind of topic of, relationships in general, the quantity and quality of relationships as it relates to the medium we are using to communicate, and maybe like the preparation we can do in order to facilitate, as leaders, leading by example, facilitating a certain kind of experience, and maybe the cultivation of more like a better quality, a better kind of relationship with other people, right? So all that's kind of connected to, and then one of the words we mentioned was intimacy. So before I dive into the specific thing that's on my mind, do you have any thoughts on those topics? Well, or your own topic?
That's a lot of topics.
I mean, do you see how they might all be connected?
Well, we're talking about relationships. So first of all, I want to say thank you for having me up in your office to speak with you on this beautiful Saturday morning.
It's an honor.
I just say.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good.
People tend to just like jump into the topics. Like,
yeah.
Let's just say, hey, I love you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for wanting to speak with me this morning.
Fezzi is very good at this.
Yeah, I like people who do that well.
I've noticed like almost every time he hops into the conversation, I'll say, first, I just want to say thank you.
Right.
I'm glad you're here. I want, I'm so grateful that you're here, and to really mean it too.
I know, like when in our day and age, you sometimes talk to customer service, or you talk to people who need, you need their help with whatever it is. And it always kind of throws people off, and I'm like, hey, how are you today? They're like, good. What do you want from me? Thank you.
Kim is looking at me with suspicious face, suspicious eyes, as if she's the, the clerk or the customer service representative or something.
It always throws people off because I guess our world's not good at that. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to try to be good at that. Try to do it. Think about people first before topics. Yeah,
Luke Thompson would agree. Like, we can get very impersonal. And that's the video I made yesterday on Defense Against Dark Arts, was kind of shining a light on how easy it is to become impersonal so that they can do people swaps.
I talk about my story with Amy. Or I shouldn't say her name.
Well, you could say her first name. There's lots of Amy's out there.
Okay, well, she's the one that first taught me this, because I was always the person, okay, let's go, let's get this done, let's do it, and she set the stage. She invited me to come study. This is back in college. I was like, okay, yeah, we can study together. And so I brought all my stuff over, and me being like, game on, let's study, and she's like, well, I think we're gonna make a pot of hot cocoa. And she had all these candles lit, and she had all these comfy blankets laid out, and she can't forget the marshmallows. I'm like, what are we going to study? She's like, we'll get to it. And then she's like, just... I'm like, it's like an eye-opener. Never experienced this in my life.
If she hadn't have been married, she may have thought she was trying to, be very, intimate.
No, not at all. Nothing like that. No. It's just a very different approach. It's just like, let's create this experience. Let's get to know each other, and then we will definitely study.
Well,
so I love that because it's carried on with me. She probably doesn't even know that's really carried on with me. Let's create this environment.
But what if I invited a guy over to watch a football game, and he came over, and and I started doing that. I got some hot cocoa, we got some candles, some incense.
I don't know. It might be nice internally. They're like, oh, this is kind of nice. You know, I like
I think
this.
I'm just pointing at something in me where I was raised by the idea of a manly man that doesn't care about candles. You know.
Yeah, it was funny to hear our preacher say that's what he does. He gets up, brews his coffee, goes down, makes sure he sets some music, sets a candle, has his Bible ready. Like he sets the atmosphere, you know,
Right.
sets the environment up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy. It's easy not to do that kind of stuff, but you know, it might be very important to, especially just people first. You maybe could do away with the candles and the hot cocoa, but just
Well,
the focusing on people
so in the
and really looking at people in the eye. Can you do that online? Can you look at people in the
well,
eyes?
you can pretend to, like you can look at the camera and they may feel like you're looking them in the eye, but when you look at a camera,
I guess you can get their attention and say, "Hey, you know, I want to look you in the eyes."
when I look at someone's eyes, it's on a screen, and therefore my eye is not looking into the camera, and so it's an interesting
Yeah,
point.
it is weird.
When we're looking each other in the eye, it's like we're doing it, and
Mm-hmm.
it feels intimate. But when we're on screens with cameras, it makes me think it would be cool if the camera could be. Here's my tech mind. It would be
Mm-hmm.
cool if the camera, when I looked at someone's eyes on a screen, that they would feel that I'm looking. They would see that I'm looking at them. And so if I'm talking, if there's 5 people in a meeting, if I looked at Luke Thompson, everyone else would know I'm not looking at them, and I'm looking at Luke.
Couldn't that be with virtual reality?
But how would they even know I'm looking at Luke? Maybe they could
I
even.
don't know.
Maybe if I'm talking to Luke, all of a sudden his screen would automatically enlarge to show that I'm looking at Luke as I talk.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It'd be pretty slick.
It'd also be interesting if they could, like, you know, like when you talk to somebody, sometimes you'll put your hand on their shoulder, and that's kind of intimate, not like, you know, just friendship wise intimate.
Right.
It'd be interesting if you could do that online, where you wanted just to touch their shoulder, give them some encouragement, or just show them some, you know.
Just you talking
Love.
about that, I noticed something in me. It's like kind of a fear and anxiety about it because like
Touching people?
I'm gonna be a coach,
Oh,
you know, of children, and you know maybe there's coworkers or strangers, and it's like laying hands on somebody is quite intimate, and some people would think you're invading their space.
maybe.
There's also the coach, you know, patting someone on the butt.
Well, we're not gonna pat people on the butts when
We're
you're a
not
coach.
patting people on the butt. But I mean, I see coaches do it.
No, well, I don't know at this age, but at our kids' age.
I've seen coaches do it to our son.
Oh,
Even our really good coach, I saw him do it. I saw him do it to a few
okay.
boys and girls.
Yeah.
Just an encouraging pat. But yeah, when it happens, I'm just like, there's something in me that's like, ooh, uh-oh.
I think you're pretty safe with like the shoulders or the back, you know,
Right.
in our day and age. So
Yeah, I think our church trains the people who watch the children the appropriate way
Right.
of touching.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't touch at all, we know that's wrong.
Right.
Um,
It'd be nice if it came naturally, like you naturally knew when to touch the shoulder or back.
This is a really interesting segue into what I want to get to. Because
Sometimes I find myself touching people's shoulders or backs, like, and it's like, oh, I didn't. It just kind of came out, and I don't know how people would interpret that.
I've had people do it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I had a lady do it to me at our nature class the other day. Not a lot of people would touch my shoulders, but she said, "How are you?" and she touched my shoulder. You know, I was like, and I noticed it because it's kind of rare.
Right.
So.
I know I've mentioned to Luke Thompson, it's like I could massage his shoulder because often he'll be in there in the live stream like with this device that actually you might actually be interested in it, but then I wouldn't get to rub your shoulders as much. But it's like a hook, you know, like those J hooks for a kayak or canoe, and he I could probably find the video and show you, and he could just sit there and rub his back. So it's pretty cool. And so you kind of know who Luke Thompson is.
I mean, not really.
Well, their name is
It's familiar.
familiar. I mentioned a name earlier, Phlebas. That's the person that I'm thinking about where I want to get to. And so every time I mention a name, I've even mentioned like Grim Grizz and his the name they assigned him at birth, and so every time I even mention a name and speak that name, there is a familiarity which increases, right? And so someone could come up to you and touch you on your shoulder, and there's like some kind of a increase in familiarity there. Like, so this idea of touching and making connections through speaking and listening, personal contact with each other, and it can go even deeper, right? But there's some parallels in virtual space with connections and quantity and quality, and then there's things you can't do in virtual space that we can do here, like looking at each other in the eyes, being able to notice when, if there is more than just us, noticing when we're not looking at you, we're looking at the other person.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting and very important. And so, this is connected. Phlebas had responded to my comment about how basically I'm curious if Jordan Hall will join live streams, like Luke Thompson's live stream. And
Does he do it consistently?
Luke?
Mm-hmm.
He actually is doing something very smart, I think he's inspiring and encouraging me as well, and hopefully others.
So what is he doing?
He knows that he's going to have some time in about 12 hours, so he can go ahead and start communicating to his subscribers that he's going to be available at a specific time in 12 hours. And he does it with the premieres. So all of a sudden I'll see, Luke is planning on having a live stream, tomorrow at 8 a.m. or 8:15
So
a.m.
does he already have a topic in mind?
And he puts a title on it.
Okay.
And then his titles are often like how we started this. It's like there might be 4 topics, and he calls it Mosaic Vision. And somehow there's a thread between all the topics. And so then he'll speak for the first, anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes, and then he'll drop a link to let everyone else come in.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a good
It's
way
smart.
of doing it. Yeah.
It's smart.
Well, also it's I enjoy it. I would enjoy it that way because you're a husband and a father and a coach and an employee, and so you have all these other commitments. It'd be nice to block out when you want to focus on a video or a live stream. It's not just like this inconsistent, chaotic thing where it's like, well, I'll just go up there and do a video. It'd be nice like if everybody knew like, oh, Daddy's gonna go do a video at this certain block of time.
So like,
it just makes it more intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
So you and I could, for example, we could plan on being live, like we could be live right now, or we could say we're planning on being live, Monday morning at, call it 5:30 a.m. Central Time.
So when you go live, are you able to speak with people, or is it just typing through text?
So there's people who there's like a live chat, and so people can type to you. And this gets back to the point I want to point out too, is that there's some things, if I try to say certain things, it will get automatically filtered by YouTube or by the platform. The platform can censor and filter. It's screening. It's doing a screening. And so that's kind of the point I wanted to get to. But yeah, so while you're speaking in a live stream, people can be sending you messages, and that can be distracting if you're really trying to kind of lay it out, whatever was on your mind, or if you're trying to listen to someone else. And so you might have to be careful about that depending on who you are. And
so when a link is dropped and people can join in, that means they're joining in live and then they can talk. You can hear them talk.
So if you go to YouTube, you've got your home, and then you have your subscribers, and so that will just as soon as a premiere is created, then if you click on your subscribers area, you will see, oh, they're planning on going live tomorrow, and then once they actually go live, if you go to your subscribers, you'll see, oh, they're live. And you can also set up for notifications so that you get a notification when they go live. And then Grimgr is also he likes to share a link through Discord to help his community know when he's going live. So there's these ways of just making sure people know that when you're going live and when you are live. Then you go into the YouTube channel, the YouTube video, and then you can start using the live chat with everyone else who's there, which can get overwhelming if there's a lot of people. But right now, it's not too bad.
Well, I know, well, you can finish your thought, because I'm curious of when you can actually speak.
So what people are using now is StreamYard, and Jacob tends to be the person that people like to say, thank you, Jacob, for bringing StreamYard to us. And so, Luke or Grimgriz or myself or Jacob or, might be using StreamYard, and so the videos being streamed to Twitter and to Facebook and to YouTube, and you can configure all this, and everyone there can participate in some kind of a live chat depending on the platform, and then you and StreamYard see everybody's chat messages, and you can click it and show it up on the screen, and you can talk to the people who are in the live chat on all your platforms. So it integrates, is interoperable with multiple platforms, which is good. And you can receive feedback from your audience on multiple platforms. And then you can click a button on StreamYard to say invite. And you get a StreamYard invite link that you drop into your live chat, and it goes out to all the platforms. And then once people click that, they go into a back office. And so I'm in StreamYard as an admin, and all of a sudden I see, oh, there's somebody. And you might say, hey, I'm not going to let you on unless you turn on your camera, because we don't want you just to be nude and naked, which has happened.
Oof.
I think that happened to Father Eric.
He was nude and naked?
Somehow there was I forget what they call it. But sometimes you never know who you're going to get, and sometimes it's a familiar, right? And, that's what the game, that's what you're playing with, So that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
So, we could say, I could create a premiere and say 5:30 a.m. Central Time on Monday. And then tomorrow morning, I might even delete it and recreate it so that it shows back up in people's feed.
I got you.
I don't even know. That might be a bad idea.
The only live stream I have joined consistently is this Wellness Wednesday. The lady, the Goodbye Lupus lady. She has a Wellness Wednesday where you can go on and she answers everybody's questions. But talk about overwhelming. People are just typing. I'm like, I want to know the answer to that question, and now it's gone. But she does her best, best to answer, and she has a team helping answer questions, and it's all free. And she goes through. She has usually has a person on that talks about some kind of aspect of her goal, and so yeah, it's called Wellness Wednesday. But you get everybody knows it's on Wednesday at a certain time.
Wellness Wednesday, yeah.
Right.
And that's smart because people can just know that it's going to happen predictably.
And she's actually helped a lot of people through the Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just answering questions and So anyway, you can bring up what you want to talk about next.
The beanbag. I
know it's You
got the beanbag.
Gavin makes me sit on the beanbag chair.
You want to swap seats?
No, I'm good. I'm actually very comfy.
All right.
But you can hear the little beads.
Yeah, that's all right. It's authentic. With our coffee.
It's actually not our beanbag. It's our son's beanbag chair.
We stole it.
I know.
Where do I want to go? Do I get to play the game?
Yeah, sure. I'm letting you go ahead and lead.
I can lead?
That's it. Yeah, go.
So, I'd posed this question on Luke Thompson's YouTube video, And then Phlebas responded in the comments
Okay, yeah.
to my question, like, will Jordan Hall come on a live stream? And maybe I could pull it up just to.
Was it random that you thought about Jordan Hall and wondering, or was the conversation around that?
Oop. There was a Chad's estuary video instructions. I was trying to show
So was it
Cam how to
random
do
that
estuary.
you had said that? Was it random that you had said something like, will Jordan Hall come on this whatever? And
Well, Jordan Hall has captured the attention of many people in this little corner of the internet.
is this a recent thing?
And it's a recent thing. And it's usually instigated by, like, Paul Vanderklay has a lot of power and influence to be able to shape the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden he
People are paying
shines a
attention
light.
to
He
him.
shines a light on Jordan Hall, and then Jordan Hall is interesting to many people. And so I did.
What makes him interesting?
Well, I did a video on Defense Against Dark Arts because people's minds are doing things which makes Jordan Hall interesting. Right? I mean, it's a really good question. I think.
Is it like ooh, the new kid in the class?
That's the
Interesting guy, new kid in the class.
I've heard it. I've heard Paul,
or what does he have to say that's interesting?
well, you made a good point there. Like, Paul has called it the new hot girl.
Oh yeah.
You know, here's the new hot girl.
Right.
And then I've heard Chad say, "Oh, come look at my new baseball card. Look at this new baseball card I have." And
Talking about Jordan Hall.
yes, but this kind of thing happens regularly where
Right.
at one point people were talking about Ayan Hersey Ali. And
So when I'm go ahead. Sorry. I
well, man, this is perfect. Just ask
So-
your question.
So does Jordan Hall have a big following?
He has a bigger following than I do. Like, if I go to his YouTube channel, he's got more subscribers, and if you go to his Twitter, he's got more followers.
So do you think people pay attention to that and they're like, oh, I want his attention because then I can have more subscribers and followers? I'm just trying to understand. I don't know who Jordan Hall is. I don't know anything about this.
I think there are many people in this little corner of the internet who are not focused on getting more subscribers.
Okay.
Now, I think there are some who are interested in playing that game of let's get more subscribers, and there are some who are not interested, and there are some who are just like, I don't want more subscribers. I think we maybe even have some of those.
So then my next question is, has he said something interesting that people are like, oh, I want to learn more about that?
Well, he recently converted and came out as a Christian.
Oh, okay. Well, that is interesting. Why?
Well, what's interesting to me is when I came out as a Christian, there was no Paul Vanderklay focused thing like Jordan Hall got.
Well, did you do it quietly?
Paul Vanderklay became aware of it, and other people became aware of it, and then.
So what was Jordan Hall before? Just.
What was he before?
Just like a non-believer, or?
I think he said.
Did he label himself as something?
I mean, I would have described him as someone who's an entrepreneur, CEO type. Like, you kind of know.
Do you know what he does for a living?
I think he lives off wealth that he.
It's like an investor.
I had that question, and I heard an answer recently, or a comment recently, that he had acquired wealth because of his entrepreneurial spirit related to MP3 and DivX. He was in on that, and so I think he's probably retired to some degree as far as like needing money.
I'm always interested in people's, like, do they have a wife? Do they have kids? Where do they live? What's their story? What are their hobbies? What do they do for a living? And then, like, why are you here? Like, has he ever answered that question of why he's here? Do people answer that question? Why are you actually here? Why are you on this live stream? Why are you in this corner of the internet?
Well, the thing is my point was just like, and I'll read it.
Not in a mean way. Why are you
I
here? It's
said,
just like, why are you here? Like, what are you trying to get, and what are you trying to give? Like,
my comment was wondering if or when Jordan Hall will join these live streams like PVK does. Whether someone will or will not hop into a live stream means something to me for some reason.
well, maybe it's like the idea that you become more vulnerable when you hop into a live stream and you get to know the person more. Like right now, I guess he's kind of like this mystery character who has gotten this attention, and like no one really knows much about him.
So there's something, I want to go back to the hot girl idea. Like, there's something about the playing hard to get thing.
Okay.
Like, I think you're talking about it. It's like, there's a reason why people are interested in Jordan Hall, right? And it may have something to do with this phenomenon where the playing hard to get, attractive playing hard to get thing, all of a sudden it's like people want it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's deep. It's in the subconscious. It's in the mind. There's these forces that are, and then those forces can actually, people who understand those forces can use it to their advantage. And while, so what it means is that some people are in your blind spots. Like, I'm in a lot of people's blind spots, and there's other people like me, and people who are less known than me, right? In blind spots. Paul Vanderklay says things like hierarchies bind and blind. But there's also a binding and blinding happening which we don't even know about. Like, we're not even aware of. That's why I made the video yesterday about defense against dark arts. A lot of it can be subconscious.
So, like, what are you? So, what's the point in talking about Jordan Hall? Like, just the idea of how you develop a relationship with this mystery character,
So,
or good intentions,
I heard the expression, like, there's something about Jordan Hall that I feel towards Jordan Hall, and it might be like a jealousy or a bitterness or something very small. So, for example, why does he receive attention but I did not? Why did I and Hersey Ali receive attention but I did not? Right? And there's a part of that from my perspective, it's like, well, that's not fair. Why is Jordan Hall receiving attention and I didn't? And why did I and Hersey Ali receive attention and I didn't? Like, I actually I converted to Christianity before they did. But when they did, all of a sudden they receive attention, right? And so there's that in me. And so
I think you shouldn't be seeking it. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, I converted to Christianity, now everybody give me all the attention. Like, that should be like more of a personal thing. And it'd be, we could do a recording where I ask you your story, where you can tell your story.
I've been asked
That's
my story.
important.
I've been asked my
But
story in passing.
You shouldn't want to receive all this attention because you became a Christian, right? That shouldn't be like why you become a Christian. And I know it's not for you.
Yeah, but it's interesting that to say that out loud, though, is to like imply that that's what people think when they hear what I'm saying.
Oh,
right?
I don't know, maybe.
Like, where is the bitterness and jealousy coming from? Right? Is it because I want all the attention?
Possibly. Maybe you just want to tell your story.
I think it's more like, it's not that I want all the attention, it's that I want people to pay attention in fair ways. Like, I don't like when people's attention is being pulled in directions which are disconnected from like the reality of the world. Like, I am of worth, you are of worth, we are all of worth, but somehow Jordan Hall and I and Hersey Ali receive attention.
I don't know that second person.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of, you're blind to some of these people, right? We all have these blindnesses. And it's connected to, for example, I said someone's name, Paul Vanderklay said someone's name, someone made a recommendation to Paul Vanderklay, so we have this power with our words to shape what is being where the attention is being focused.
I'm gonna push you a little bit. You
I'd
ready?
I'd love for you to push me. I could also talk about Phlebas here.
I obviously you're a part of
Oops.
this that you're saying that you don't want people to be. I mean, you've mentioned Jordan Hall's name lots now.
Exactly.
And so he's getting this attention. I don't even know who this guy is.
Right.
And so you're doing the same thing. I haven't heard any other names besides Jordan Hall, the next guy you mentioned.
Tell me about these other people that I've mentioned.
Well, no, in this Video, I mean,
Right.
Luke.
How many? Luke Thompson.
Luke Vanderclay.
Paul Vanderclay.
I don't want to pronounce their names wrong. Phlebas?
Phlebas.
Phlebas.
It's like a Phlebas, and I don't even think that's his real name.
Okay. And the second guy that you mentioned next to Jordan Hall, that got a lot of attention.
Well, this is a female.
Oh, okay.
Ayan Hersey Ali.
Okay. Oh, she's the one. I've heard her story. She's the one that was an atheist, right? No. She was
an atheist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and
she was.
converted.
I've also mentioned Grim Grizz.
What was Amy?
We also mentioned Amy.
I didn't hear it, Amy.
You mentioned Amy.
Oh, I mentioned Amy. I was like, I don't remember you saying Amy.
So, like...
But I'm saying, what's dominated the conversation so far has been this guy.
Well...
Who's gotten this attention.
But the thing that...
Maybe you're just curious about him. Have you ever asked if you wanted to have a conversation?
Yeah, I actually, before he converted, I've, like, talked to him in DMs on Twitter.
Okay.
He asked me to check out something called Quartal, which was like a decentralized crypto style technology platform, right, for communication, and so I went and did an analysis on it, and I reported my analysis to that community, the Quartal community, and to Jordan Hall, and then he paid attention to a couple of my YouTube videos. Like at one point, I think he heard one of our kids yell in the background. And he's like, that sounded concerning. It sounded concerning that I didn't like go give attention to the child who was being noisy, right? And but it reveals something about me and something about him, right?
Well, not every noise is a concerning one. I think as a parent, your kid's concerning noises, right?
That's right.
So it's just that's like a personal thing.
It is a personal thing. And then I've been ignored by him. For months.
I think on this topic, I think if you are
and that's
scared,
maybe that's some of my bitterness too, is he's ignored me.
Bitter, maybe you just have to get to know the person better. And then there's not that mystery, and there's not that.
I'll drop another name. There's a guy named Neil. There's actually two of them, and it's not Kneel, which is funny because it sounds like that. But there's a Neil who goes by this like pseudonym Daedalus, and then there's like another Neil that has a pseudonym that was given to him by Grimgriz, which is Sourdough Neil.
Oh, sourdough.
Yeah, he's a
sourdough Neil makes some sourdough?
He does make sourdough.
Does he make videos of sourdough?
He works in a shop. There you go.
Oh, he works in a sourdough shop?
He works in a shop where they make sourdough.
That's cool.
He's connected to a community. Maybe we should just move wherever Sourdough Neil is.
No. That's so weird. No. Does he have a social?
But I just want to point that out. We've talked about...
I've heard Sourdough Neil.
We even
just
talked
because
about,
I like sourdough.
Where's Jordan Hall? Is this a community we should move to? It's like, there's these... He's in the place called Black Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He's that guy.
Okay.
No, the thing that... So there's a pattern... So Neil Daedalus... That's his last... That other name, Daedalus, is a pseudonym. He's pointed out that I'm here in this little corner to make friends with a few people. And what that means is he's just coming in saying, look, I'm going to ignore most of you people. And so he's coming in to have fun, and he might have fun, he'll have fun with me, but he's not trying to cultivate a friendship with me, right? He's been attracted toward, Chad and another guy named McMo, maybe Tayo, and these are all, I love Chad, and I think me and McMo would get along great, and I love Tayo. So, but he's explicitly coming in and saying that.
Maybe he resonates with people who say interesting things to him, like where who he can learn from. And I understand the idea, like, you can't really cultivate deep relationships with hundreds of people, because you have to give a certain amount of time to people to understand, to develop those relationships. Like, you and Chad's relationship, like, you can't do that with everybody, right? That would be hard. It would take a lot of time.
Right.
So, I understand Neil.
Right, and I think it goes to the point.
And also I think it's a personality type too, as well. I think it's a certain personality type where it's like, I can't manage, like, all these people. Like, I'd rather just develop a few good relationships than, like, hundreds of mediocre relationships. But you said he still participates with everybody, but he has focused in on a group. I understand that. I can relate to that.
My mom.
Hi, Mom.
We have a diaper to clean and change.
There's Clo.
Oh, that's Clover.
Hi, Clover.
I can, like, turn off this camera. Let's see, video. There we go. So it's just the darkness now.
Uh-oh.
That's okay.
How are you, Clover?
I could actually put a scene up. I'm going to pause this. And we're back.
Hey, Mama.
Oh, Mama.
Hey, baby.
Can I please play with stuff?
Yeah.
All right, we're back again. So, I think it's, Phlebas had a curiosity of why I had said what I had said.
Yeah, because it comes off
He said,
as
what does it mean? What does it mean? I said, whether someone will or will not hop into a live stream means something to me for some reason. And Phlebas says, what does it mean?
Well, you're kind of asking the question, like, you feel like you have this feeling, but you don't know what it is.
So.
I don't hop into live streams. What you gotta say about that?
Yeah, but you're not receiving all this attention.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
So, like, for example, the President of the United States doesn't hop into our live stream.
Well, maybe, maybe you just...
I just said something that was really important to me.
Yeah, the Presidents of the United States do not hop into live streams.
And I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, because it makes people more real, I guess. It makes people more... what's the right word? Personable?
So what happens is people are putting on a kind of mask, pretending to be something they're not. They're playing a role. So the President of the United States will play a role, and then if the President of the United States comes into Luke Thompson's live stream, then first of all, it might ruin Luke Thompson's live stream. Luke Thompson might explode in popularity, and then all of a sudden it just ruins the channel, and he'd have to, like, go and create a new channel, right?
I think maybe, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think maybe the better words that you could have used for the question you posed is, I would like to see, Jordan Hall join in some live streams. The way you did it was kind of almost a bit threatening, kind of.
Well, it's a question. It's like, I don't know if he will. Like, because... And then if he does, what spirit will he bring?
I don't know him.
Right.
But I think that's more the question. Like, I think giving people the benefit of the doubt more so than, like, accusing or, that kind of thing is probably the better approach, especially when you don't know somebody.
What if I just sat on the fence instead of giving people the benefit of the doubt? Or why can't I sit on the fence and say, who's this character?
Well, I think
who's this
you
person?
Can.
But that's what I'm doing, right?
But
That's what I'm trying to do.
I think you want more than that.
What do you think I want?
Like, I think you, like, instead of just sitting on the fence and letting things go by, you want to be active and you want to get to know people and you want to ask questions to start conversations. Like, I think that's just who you are. It's not bad at all.
Well,
you don't want to just sit on the fence.
so there's a fear underneath it all, right?
Yeah, what's your fear?
The fear, and Chad helped me with this, is The fear is that Jordan Hall is not interested in developing and cultivating relationships with, you know, people on the internet, randos on the internet. And this is cool about, the idea that Paul Vanderklay speaks with randos. Like, I really love that about Paul. And actually, like, my favorite content that Paul is creating now, I've been moving over time, and where I'm at now is my favorite content he creates is the Freddie and Paul show.
Yeah.
And it's his least popular show.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed watching that the other day. I think I've only seen one.
Shout out Freddie. Shout out Paul. Kim.
Well, all the other people on there are wonderful too.
That's right.
They're all unique. They all bring something different. They're all being themselves, it seems like.
I also love trying to get into the mind of Paul, who's there. It's like man, these are beautiful people. And he's seeing that they're beautiful people. He's trying to encourage it too.
Well, he's kind of doing what you're talking about. Like, he's not just focusing on, like, quote unquote popular people.
So,
he's focusing on, like, just like the real people of his church. Everybody's got a story to tell, kind of idea, and you can learn from anybody. So I guess maybe some of your bitterness for Jordan Hall is that you feel like there's a lot of people who have things to offer, and we shouldn't just be focusing so hard on one person. Right.
Well, Jordan Hall is just a bit of a scapegoat for a larger phenomenon where.
So maybe it's not really Jordan Hall. It's just the idea and how people react.
Honestly, I could end up being best friends with Jordan Hall.
Right.
Like, honestly, especially if, like, we were to practice listening to each other and getting to know each other. Like, there's a potential for that, and maybe it won't happen. And I see the potential for that in many places, and I know that there's restrictions on the quantity and quality of friendships we can have with people. But Paul Vanderklay, he does this pastoring thing and this community building thing. And, like, I want to learn how to do the pastoring and community building thing just so I can be a better husband and father and neighbor and coworker.
Right.
And I think that it would be good for everyone to want to do that and learn to do it. And meanwhile, we're giving attention to all these people who, and I say we, there are, and we're in there. I would, for like rock climbing or drones or singing or, no matter our interest, it would be great if we were all interested not only in the one thing, whether it's duck calling or kart racing or fishing or whatever, but we would also be interested in pastoring and community building. And some are going to be better than others, but I think this is the ought. We should be interested. We should be interested in learning to do this stuff. And so when I look at the President of the United States, or I look at Jordan Peterson, or I look at any person, like, I can look at any person and I can ask, how much interest does this person have in pastoring and ministering and community building?
Yeah.
And so when I say, like, there's a fear that Jordan Hall will not want to be in a live stream with Luke Thompson.
Why is there a fear?
The fear is that he's just another person who is not interested in, and maybe is not yet interested in, pastoring and community building.
Well, then so what? I mean, you can't make people do certain things. You can't make people act certain ways. And if he's not really interested in doing...
I'm not talking about making him do anything.
I'm just saying, if he's not interested in doing that, it's like, okay, like, move on. Like, I don't know if this should be such a focal point.
Well, it's just a focal point because Phlebas asked the question.
Well, you asked the question. He was just wondering what you were saying.
Well, I didn't put a question mark there.
Oh. Well, it seems like it was kind of a question.
I said, wondering if or when Jordan Hall will join these live streams like PVK does. Whether someone will or will not hop into a live stream means something to me for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's that last part. So you're wondering, that's kind of a question, but the last part is kind of like you look down upon people who don't come into live streams. Like they're not legitimate enough, like they're not legit to you until they come into a live stream.
If you're using the internet and you're not going into a live stream, that means that it tells you something about your capacity for care. Now, it might mean that you're just full of a large quantity and quality of meaningful relationships on the ground, and you just don't have time for a live stream. Right? But it might also mean that you were like I was, and you're like someone who just thinks you're the teacher and the healer, and yeah, you can be full of yourself, like the President of the United States.
I just, I mean, you know me, I'm a little bit different than you. I don't really, if somebody doesn't want to come into a live stream, then I'm just like, okay, you know, like, maybe they'll come in later when they feel like they want to, you know, and then just like try to cultivate people who are on the live streams, like quit worrying about people who don't want to join live streams.
Am I worried?
It seems a little like you are.
What's the difference between worrying and wondering?
Wondering? I don't know. Go directly to Jordan Hall and say, hey, come join my live stream.
I've gone directly to Jordan Hall, and he's been ignoring me for months, even before he came out as a Christian.
Oh. Well,
I was connected to Jordan Hall before he came out as a Christian.
Well, what do you want to see happen? What would be your ideal?
Ideally, he will come into live streams with just people like, there was a guy that hopped on yesterday named Nick. Nick is basically a rando for a lot of people, and he will practice loving a rando on the internet, and that would.
You want him just to take more of a submissive
practice
attitude,
entering into the position of a student and a patient to a random person on the internet. That's what I would like to see from the President of the United States, Jordan Peterson.
People with popularity, you want to see them.
All people who receive all this attention, I want them to transform into people who will are willing to practice becoming a patient and a student for a random person who is of worth and might be a valuable teacher and a healer.
Well, you also have to realize that they might actually be doing that. Just because you don't see it on the internet doesn't mean they're not doing it. So you also have to keep that in your head.
They might be.
I don't think the internet presence is your full picture of who you are. It might be a little part of you, but you know, people don't see half the things you do. You know? So you gotta remember that.
Well, I think whenever you do when the President of the United States goes up for a debate or goes for an interview, the questions can be softball questions, and there can be a preparation, and so there can be a mask and a persona, and so you can present yourself in a way in order to
prepare. Basically, what you're saying, you can prepare. So, I think I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
Where do you think I'm going?
Well, you're saying so if he just joins on a conversation with Paul Vanderklay, he can kind of prepare to know what he's going to say and kind of present. But if he joins in on a live stream, it's more raw, it's more unfiltered. He may get questions from people he's not prepared for, and you get to kind of know him a little bit better. So you can kind of break that shell to see, are you genuine? Who are you? You know, how do you respond just to a simple question from some random person you don't know, that kind of thing. I get it.
Jordan Peterson actually talked about the importance of it's kind of like the archetype who can go out into the unknown, into the chaos, and come back with something valuable. And so when you're in a live stream, you are entering into the unknown and the chaos. And I guess in my mind, I want the people who have practiced going out into the chaos, into the unknown, and bringing something back that's valuable.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going.
I want them to receive more attention.
Like
now. I'm actually thinking like I am disappointed with the way attention is being given and received.
Yeah, because you don't. So.
I still love everyone who's doing it. I know we can do better.
Yeah.
And the tricky part here is like some people might think Gavin wants more attention.
Well, it does sound like that initially. It does. Honestly, it does. But
the thing is like
it would be nice for people not to just like all of a sudden jump on this wagon of a person and they want to let's give all this person the attention when the person hasn't fully, like, you don't even know this person yet, kind of. Is that where you're going?
But the thing is, it's not just Jordan Hall.
I know it's
the President of the United States. It's Jordan Peterson. You can name all these people who don't appear to be interested in talking to a random person live on a camera. I mean, that's scary. Talking to a random person live on the camera if you can do that well, it's like, man, we need to know. We need to be able to identify you and find you.
Yeah, probably the most people who do it well are just the people being who they are. And so that's kind of comforting, knowing that, like, you will behave, just who you are when you come in on that live stream. You're comfortable with who you are, and you can, just jump in with confidence,
Right.
So.
So could you imagine us doing live streams and...
I could do it. I might not say a lot.
Random person to hop into a live stream.
I tend to, I also think it's a personality type, but I would do it if you wanted to.
The tricky part is whenever you're say, look, you're not welcome here anymore. That's the tricky part.
Well, I think also a tricky part is that people will ask a question and they want immediate feedback, and sometimes it just takes people longer to process and to be able to say what they want to say. Your first thoughts may not be what you need to say. So sometimes it just takes me a longer time just to process what I want to say in a good way, because I don't want my words to ever, come out in a bad way.
I got you. I hear some kid calling Mama.
Mama.
Which one is that?
That's Beckett in the back. So, are we dragging this out, or do you want to talk about other things?
I mean, I enjoy practicing. It is a wondering, like you can wonder.
Yeah, I don't know how, people probably won't finish this talk because it's kind of, seems a little drawn out.
I think that there's a lot of people who would benefit from trying to practice interacting and engaging with us. And so, whether they are willing to do it, it's not all on us to try and present ourselves and put on a mask such that they will be led to the promised land.
So, like, the attraction, somebody might be attracted to this talk because it's just unrefined and it's kind of just us just speaking. Do people do this? They just get on and just speak and ramble and...
They do, but I think it's better live. It can be better live because all of a sudden some of these characters,
you might have people come in.
Phlebas might hop into the stream.
It might. And he might interject some good stuff, some good combos, some interesting
and
things. Yeah, I get that.
And maybe
I think we're boring.
Maybe there's someone who comes in who's going to be your opponent. It's called opponent processing. I call it Minerval Arts. It's the dojo. And then you get to practice dealing with the rando who might be confrontational. They're not going to punch you in the face from across the screen, across the internet, but...
Do you ever let people dictate what you're going to talk about? Like, I think that's kind of fun. Like,
yeah, when I hop into Luke's live stream.
Well, no, so say we put on a live stream, but we say, hey, everybody, give us your topics, kind of like the estuary idea.
Exactly.
Give us your topics, and we will facilitate a conversation on your topics.
Exactly.
I mean, I follow people who do that. They're like, hey, give me some topics, and us together will have a conversation about it, and then we'll let other people join in.
Yeah, so there's the
like talk about this,
Paul
please.
has had the Friday Q&A, and then there's like the Ask Me Anything, but yeah, so
maybe we should start doing that. That way you can get people more engaged, and you develop better relationships.
Yeah, I think we can head in that direction with kind of a live stream. We're encouraging people. Maybe we're even like allowing people to suggest topics, things like that.
I mean, something that maybe they're interested in, or something that they may think that we can talk well about. I don't know. Gardening, fishing, relationships, whatever.
Well, we also approach things not as teacher healer, but the humility to know that we have things to learn.
Absolutely.
That's what kind of drives me crazy. Are these people who act
Parenting.
like they should be an authority on the teaching and the healing. It just drives me crazy. It's the Milgram experiment with the person in the lab coat, where 2/3 of the people were willing to kill somebody.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because they gave authority to the person with the lab coat. And so I'd like it if people stopped acting like an authority. And there I go, being an authority.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll end it there. We'll go be parents.
We're always parents.
Yeah, I mean, if an emergency happened, we'd have to be ready.
Have a good day, corner of the internet. Love you, Gavin.
Bye-bye.